Last October, the terrorist group controlling Gaza unleashed a series of rocket strikes against major cities in Israel. This was immediately followed by a violent incursion of Hamas ground forces. But where do things stand now and what is next? Joining me with analysis and to talk about the current state of the conflict is foreign policy analyst and co-host of the new podcast, War and Freedom Insight Talks, Dr. Walid Phares. Walid, thanks for being here. Axios reports that Israel and the United States have agreed to reschedule some high-level meetings on the Iranian threat that were canceled after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu suggested that Biden and the administration were withholding arms from Jerusalem. Walid, what happened between the U.S. and Israel last week? And did the clapback by Prime Minister Netanyahu change the math here?
I'm not sure if Prime Minister Netanyahu is able to change. What I'm sure about is that there is a majority in Congress, and it's not just in the House, but also in the Senate, and not just Republicans, but some Democrats as well, who are not very happy with the direction the Biden administration is taking towards Israel, towards the Iran regime, and towards the Middle East in general, including our Arab allies. And here's the deal, Raymond. This Iran deal remains the pressure that is forcing the administration not to go all the way in the defense of Israel, of Arab moderates, and of the Iranian opposition. It's the money, the transaction that you and I spoke about for the last many, many years. So at this point in time, when you hear the Biden administration asking for a ceasefire, it's not for the, for the value of peace. It's to protect Hamas, because the Iran regime will cancel the Iran deal and a lot of money will be lost.
So you're saying that this pause, that's what they call it, a pause in May, was due to the U.S. concerns, was not due, rather, to the U.S. concerns that sending more weapons would escalate hostilities or deaths of the Palestinians, but was really related to the Iran nuke deal.
Absolutely. Actually, what is happening now is that the Israelis are encircling the last bastion of Hamas, meaning of the jihadists in Gaza. They have cut off that organization, Hamas, from Egypt at this point in time. And the next stage will be to replace it, to disarm it. And there are Arabs ready for it. There are even Palestinian, Raymond, who are ready to come and constitute a new local government with the help of Arabs and of the Israelis. Who is missing is the United States. If I am the White House or State Department, I'll start already talking with the Arabs, having conferences with Israelis and Arabs and Abraham Accord people who just replace Hamas. No, they are just protecting, delaying everything.
The Biden administration officials this week in Washington told the Israeli defense chief that the pause on the shipment of the heavy artillery and bombs to Israel are under review. And the question is, will shipments resume, in your estimation, or do you think they're going to continue to stretch this out as long as they can because of the pending Iran nuke deal?
Well, you're going to have both happening in Washington at the same time, all the way to our elections, all the way probably to January. On the one hand, you have a very strong, influential, well-funded Islamic Republic lobby, the Iran regime lobby, that is not just a private enterprise. It's actually within the administration. We know many advisors and the negotiators have been pushing for putting so much pressure on Israel to stop pressuring Hamas because, as we said, the regime in Tehran will be opposed and will start cutting the interest for anybody, not just in America, but in Canada, in Western Europe, who have been involved in this, on the one hand. So that's why you're going to see that pressure continue. On the other hand, you have a majority, not just of the Congress, but of the American people. And with it, you have a majority of Arab countries who are telling Washington one way or another. The administration is receiving this directly from Congress. But what they're telling them, we are allies with Israel, as we were allies with our allies during World War II. So what you are displaying, we're going to stop this weapon and not that weapon, doesn't show that we are partners anymore. It shows different things. It shows actually the administration positioning itself in between Israel and the Islamic regime of Iran. That's massive. That's a massive change.
Yeah, well, there's also a chunk and base of the Democratic Party that is opposed to this, particularly in places like Michigan, which also is fueling this kind of yes and no approach, neither there nor here approach, because they don't want to take a position because this pending election is in the offing. Why is Israel held, though, to a different standard, Walid, than, say, Ukraine? Nobody's worried about ticking off Russia or China. We're shipping billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine.
Well, basically, one point about Michigan, I would not let this go. Mm-hmm. It is a misperception to say that a majority of Arabs, Middle Eastern, and even Muslims in the Michigan area, and we know it, we have advised many Middle East American coalitions for the last 10 to 20 years. They are more vocal. Those who are partnering with the Khomeinists of the Iran regime, and we know them, and those who are actually friends or allies of the Muslim Brotherhood have the podium. They have the microphone. But are you going to tell me that the majority of the Lebanese who are opposed to Hezbollah and who are a majority in Michigan, or of the Syrians, or of the Iraqi Assyrian and Chaldeans and other are lining up with Islamists? No. So I think there is a misperception. But having said that, why is Israel treated that way? It's because, unlike what's happening with Ukraine, it's because the lobbying made by the anti-Israel forces in the United States has spread, is now on steroids. It's much larger than it was before. Again, I'll bring it back to the Iran deal. But the lobby that is receiving cash in Ukraine is also very strong. So at the end of the day, my friend, it's money that is talking.
Yep, sadly. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman expressed support for Israel in a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday. Watch.
Well, we stand with Israel through this, and I'm so sorry for what's been done to this nation, but I'm just an honor to be here today.
Walid, Fetterman expressed support for America's ally Israel, while many in his party do not. Does this signal a shift in U.S. attitude toward Israel, or is Fetterman just acting rogue in his party?
I don't think so. I followed him very closely on socioeconomic issues. He's as firm as he was on the left. He's not going to abandon that. He may not like the conservatives. But what happened with Fetterman and maybe other 2 or 3 other senators who are in the Democratic Party, who are slightly left of center, the shock that happened as a result of the attack on October 7, told everybody, including what I call the liberal left-wingers, that the jihadists will not spare you, will not spare the Israeli left-winger, as they've done in Iran. They killed the members of the Communist Party of Iran. So they understand that. But then you have the other wing within the Democratic Party, within the left wing, who are directly, organically connected to the Khomeinists and also to the Muslim Brotherhood, which are Islamists, by the way, and this chunk of the international left that has been funded by the Islamic Republic of Iran. That's the difference.
Walid, you referred to it earlier, but it's very important for people to understand the current state of the Iran nuke deal. Where is it now? Last week, the Washington Post reported, and again, we don't cover this stuff. We're worried about what Biden said or what Trump said getting off a plane or at a rally. That's really secondary to these important international affairs that, as I said, get very little attention. But the Washington Post reported an expansion underway at Iran's nuclear enrichment plant, which could allow the regime to accumulate several bombs worth of nuclear fuel every month. After a leaked draft of these Iran plans was initially reported by Reuters way back on June 13th, the U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller charged the Islamic Republic with expanding its nuke program in ways that have no credible, peaceful purpose, surprise, and vowed to respond accordingly. Walid, one is to ask why. Why is the U.S. so keen on entering this nuclear deal with Iran in the first place? And is it such a surprise that they're ramping up their program?
Well, let me respond to the first very important points that are not even debated or discussed, which are the following. Should it be the State Department or Washington Post, New York Times, and CNN, MSNBC, and the rest of that group, which has been supportive of the Iran deal? When they warn about, in few months, the regime will have access to nuclear weapons, what do you think the next article is about? So let's rush and sign with them and give them the money so that we stop them. This is the logic. It's not, oh my goodness, Iran or the Islamic Republic gonna get to a weapon, let's stop them. Let's actually take out actions against them. That is a very dangerous matter, and the proof, the evidence is that during past summer, we, meaning the administration, has been sending billions of dollars, have even invented, hostage diplomacy. Oh yeah, to liberate 5 hostages, we are paying $6 billion. No way on earth you could do this, because you're encouraging the Iranian regime to do the same. Not very confident that this administration, though they are not raising the specter of re-signing now, of course we are in an election year. If they do it in public, there will be a tidal wave reaction in the elections. So they are banking on the fact that they are getting the regime money, little money, warning the American public, oh, we need to get settled with the Iranians, and then you will see in January if they are if the Biden administration comes back or another similar administration comes back, they're going to go full steam with the Iran regime, unfortunately.
Israelis who were taken hostage, Walid, or lost loved ones during Hamas's October 7th attack are suing the United Nations agency that aids Palestinians. They claim it's financing the militants by paying agency staffers in U.S. dollars and thereby funding them to money changers in Gaza who allegedly give a cut to Hamas. Now, Walid, did the United Nations fund Hamas, A, and what do we know for certain about this situation?
We don't know much about the details, but that corresponds to what's happening in U.S., European, and therefore in UN policies towards these organizations. It's all infiltrated or penetrated or even influenced by the allies of or the supporters of the Iran deal. I mean, we keep going back to the same. Now it's about UNRWA in Gaza because, physically speaking, the Israelis and other Western Arab countries, by the way, have discovered this. But what about the UNRWA and other agencies of the UN across the region? I mean, in Lebanon, Hezbollah used to be getting aid from U.S. foreign aid, not directly. They will receive them through municipalities, they will receive them through other ways, same in Jordan, same in Syria. The whole situation of Western sent money to the region is to be reviewed, will have to be reviewed by the U.S. Congress and the European Parliament. It's a mess.
It's amazing. Millions and millions and millions of dollars. Walid, as the conflict in Israel and Gaza drags on, the Israeli Supreme Court issued a decision to include ultra-Orthodox Jews in the military draft. Now, the Orthodox Jewish community had long been exempt from military service. How significant is that decision? And does this indicate that this conflict won't be ending anytime soon?
Well, I'll start with the last point. I don't think this conflict is to be ended soon, because to be ended, you need to disarm Hamas, you need to disarm Hezbollah, and you need to have the United States on board. And eventually, at the end of the day, with Arabs and the Iranian opposition, you need to change the regime in Iran. I mean, don't think that there will be a deal with that regime. It's too late to do even a deal because they've gone too far. Problem is, at this point in time, that the administration is not ready to accept this change of policy. That's where the problem is. So they continue with trying right and left to convince the American public that there is a way to deal. And I'm not saying just the administration. There are other people in other quarters of our politics who are saying, oh, yeah, we'll have a deal with the Iran regime. We are way beyond that. The regime is going to fall anyway. It's going to be catastrophic because we are elongating the time. We are stretching the time. So in my view, I think January is going to be the benchmark where things are going to change.
Well, the president of Iran died in that helicopter crash back in May. They're undergoing new elections now. What might that bear out? Is that going to be someone who America can deal with, or is the old anti-Western mentality going to continue with whoever's elected there?
No. What's happening in Iran, or with the former late president, is there was an internal wing struggle. They are replacing him with somebody even closer to Khamenei, the head of the regime, very close to Khamenei. It's imagined as a settlement of scores inside China's leadership. We've seen it during the Cold War, or the Soviet Union, even now in Russia. That is what is really happening. And the more one person or his clique are going to control power, the more they're going to be on steroids, basically, the Iran regime, as we've seen across history. So let's not hope that changes inside Iran are going to get another more moderate regime. You will get a more moderate government in Iran, when the Ayatollahs won't be in power. That's the real benchmark, period.
Yeah. Netanyahu said on Sunday that this war in Gaza was about to enter a new phase. He says the intense stage of the war with Hamas is about to end. This does not mean that the war is about to end, but the war in its intense phase is about to end. Walid, what does that mean? Is there a ceasefire in the offing? I mean, reports say so far nearly 38,000 people have been killed since this conflict began in October.
The ceasefire that Mr. Netanyahu is talking about or thinking about is a ceasefire after Rafah, the last bastion of Hamas, is disarmed. Meaning after Hamas would lose strategic control. There will be cells of Hamas. There will always be cells of Hezbollah and of jihadists. The full victory against terrorism, as we know now, and we've done 20 years of it in Afghanistan, and unfortunately it ended so badly, is when the schools will change, when the classroom is not going to teach any more jihadism. That's the key. On the ground, geopolitically, the Israelis, and they're right in what they say, you could be against them or with them, Hamas has lost control geopolitically over Gaza. So the rest now is going to be who will replace Hamas. That's going to be a big challenge. And I don't see, as I said, the administration working on it. Practically speaking, the next theater is going to be Hezbollah, the Iranian militias in the region, and the regime.
Walid, final question, and I think I've saved maybe the most important to last. While the world is focused on the Israeli-Gaza conflict, we are missing something, I think, infinitely important in the region, and that's Afghanistan. I saw a letter this week from a group called Special Operations Association of America. These are Navy SEALs and Green Berets, et cetera, and they are sounding the alarm about terror groups gaining strength in Afghanistan and in the surrounding region. What is the situation on the ground, and how did the U.S. withdrawal facilitate the situation?
In a very quick response, I would say this is a disaster in our foreign policy, as terrible as a disaster of the Iran deal. These are the two dragons that we actually brought back to power in the world. The regime in Iran is now on the Mediterranean, pounding us, pounding Israel. The Taliban now have gathered all the jihadists under the sun, the jihadists of organizations in Central Asia. They are connecting Al-Qaeda, they have ISIS, and don't believe the stuff that there are contradictions. It's all a game. But what worries me is not just the super gathering of jihadists who are going to explode in Africa and coming to our borders, by the way, through Mexico, etc. All of that, we can talk about it for hours. Why did we transfer power to the Taliban in 2021? Why did we leave weapons to the Taliban and the jihadists? And why are we still, I don't know if your audience understand that, we're sending hundreds of millions of dollars to the Taliban as I'm speaking. So we are near catastrophe in the Middle East with what we're doing in Afghanistan and, of course, in Iran.
Yeah, and in that letter, those special forces warn that the porous southern border in the United States has allowed many of these fighters to penetrate the mainland U.S. That story, that time bomb, Walid, has yet to go off, but sadly, I think we'll be covering it here in the days ahead. Walid Phares, we'll have to leave it there. I hope I'm wrong. Walid's book, Iran, An Imperialist Republic and U.S. Policy, is available now in bookstores everywhere. Walid Phares, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.